Gold Rush star Tony Beets is not in jail. However, conflicting reports and blatant misinformation about Beets and other reality television stars have led many to believe this could possibly be true. Although he and other Gold Rush miners have had legal troubles, Beets is not in prison. Beets is one of the primary miners on the hit Discovery show Gold Rush, which showcases miners from across North America and their families as they pan for gold to get rich. Over the years, the mining operations have dealt with fines, stalled licenses, and other legal issues. Beets is one of those miners, but Snopes and the Usprison Guide website both state that Beets is not in prison. The misunderstanding about Beets may stem from his actual legal charges. Beets was slapped with charges for environmental violations during his time on Gold Rush. However, Beets received fines and other consequences, which included hurdles in obtaining a water license rather than jail time. The charges were for a violation of the Yukon Waters Act after Beets allowed gasoline to be poured on a dredge pond which was set on fire. Although Beets was forced to pay for cleanup and had difficulty getting a new license, Beets ultimately avoided jail time and could continue his mining operation. Another reason for the misunderstanding about Beets may stem from his business interactions. Beets had conflicts with fellow miner Parker Schnabel. The back and forth between the pair is part of many tense moments on Gold Rush. Schnabel previously got in trouble with his contract with Beets, but Schnabel eventually helped Beets during his legal issues. Plus, Schnabel has had legal trouble himself stemming from accusations made by former employees. Schnabel and Gold Rush have also been called out for faking events, including a physical fight. Besides being accused of faking the show, Schnabel has been accused of unfair contracts and high royalties. Another Gold Rush miner was also in legal trouble. According to Post Independent, the Gold Rush crew at Todd Hoffman's mining site came under fire from lawsuits as well, alleging that the mining operation was disturbing residents. Although having Gold Rush shooting in the area was helpful for the economy, the locals became fed up with the noise and oversight. The suit from Park County residents resulted in the miners packing up for good. This setback may have contributed to Hoffman leaving the show. If Beets is not in jail, why are there videos circulating alleging he is? Well, not every video on the internet is true. Snopes points out that AI videos are going around with false information. The videos take snippets of information and craft a story that many people easily believe. Beets isn't the only reality star with fake prison videos circulating. In fact, fellow Gold Rush miner Schnabel has been a victim of the same misinformation. Others from similar shows, like Mike Wolfe on History Channel's American Pickers and Pawn Stars star Rick Harrison, have had rumors about them being in prison debunked as well. Stories like these take a small grain of truth, like Beets' violation of environmental law, and exaggerate details to get engagement. When Gold Rush first introduced Tony Beets, the fiery, larger-than-life mining mogul from the Yukon, fans were immediately captivated by his no-nonsense attitude and relentless approach to gold mining. Known for his larger-than-life personality, Beets quickly became one of the most iconic figures in the series. However, his rise to fame hasn't been without controversy, and in recent seasons, fans were left in suspense after rumors swirled about his potential legal trouble following a gasoline fire. A dramatic moment early in the season sparked widespread speculation that Tony had been jailed for the accident, which involved an explosive gasoline fire on his mining site. Fans were left on the edge of their seats, wondering if their beloved King of the Klondike would be facing serious legal consequences. But as it turns out, the truth behind Beets' legal troubles was far more complicated and wilder than anyone could have predicted. The gasoline fire incident. What happened? The gasoline fire incident occurred during a particularly tense moment on the Gold Rush series. Beets and his crew were in the midst of working on one of their biggest mining operations yet, which involved upgrading old machinery and running heavy equipment at their remote site in the Yukon. With everything from water pumps to diesel engines working at full tilt, The crew was pushing the limits of both their equipment and their patience. It was during one of these intense, high-pressure moments that things went awry. Beets was overseeing the refueling of a critical piece of machinery when an unexpected spark ignited a massive fire fueled by gasoline. The flames spread quickly, engulfing the area in a raging blaze. While thankfully no one was seriously injured, the fire caused significant damage to Beets' mining site, halting operations for an extended period. As soon as the fire broke out, the show's producers rushed to capture the scene for dramatic effect, knowing that this moment would be a pivotal plot point in the season. In the chaos, viewers saw Beets scrambling to contain the fire and prevent further damage, shouting orders to his crew as they worked tirelessly to put out the flames. Naturally, this incident led to a lot of speculation among fans. With the massive fire causing such a disruption, many wondered whether Tony Beets could be facing legal action. The fire was clearly dangerous and destructive, and it wasn't long before rumors began to circulate that Beets was being investigated by authorities. It was during this time that the thought-provoking question emerged: was Beets going to be jailed for the incident? Legal trouble begins. Not just the fire. Though the gasoline fire was certainly dramatic and dangerous, it turns out that the real legal trouble Tony Beets faced had nothing to do with the fire itself. In fact, the gasoline fire was just a minor bump in the road compared to the far more serious legal issues that Beets would eventually face. The first major legal issue came from the fact that Beets had been running his mining operation in the Yukon without some of the necessary permits and legal documents. Mining in the Klondike region is governed by a strict set of rules and regulations designed to protect the environment and ensure safety standards are met. However, Beets had been working in some areas that required special permits that he did not have. This issue came to light after the gasoline fire, as the incident prompted local authorities to inspect his mining site more thoroughly. It wasn't long before it was discovered that Beets had been operating his equipment in areas that were not fully compliant with local laws. This violation of mining regulations put him at odds with the government and sparked a full-fledged legal investigation into his operation. The accusations were serious. Tony Beets was charged with a number of violations, including environmental damage, operating without proper permits, and failing to meet safety standards. These charges were far more severe than anyone initially anticipated. While many fans believed that the gasoline fire would be the event that led to Beets' downfall, it was this broader issue of legal non-compliance that would truly put him in jeopardy. A wild legal drama unfolds. As the investigation into Tony Beets' mining operation unfolded, it quickly became clear that this was no ordinary legal battle. The story of his legal troubles became a wild, unpredictable ride, filled with twists and turns that would leave fans of Gold Rush shocked and on edge. First came the discovery of illegal dumping. It turned out that, in an effort to save time and cut costs, Beets and his crew had been discarding waste materials improperly. This waste included everything from used oil to chemicals, which were left behind in areas that were not legally designated for such materials. These illegal dumping practices were not only dangerous for the environment but also violated strict laws that were in place to protect the land and wildlife of the Yukon. As Beets faced more and more allegations, tensions began to mount between him and local authorities. Fans watching the show couldn't help but notice the tension growing in Tony's demeanor. Known for his tough, unyielding attitude, Beets found himself in uncharted territory, facing serious legal consequences that could impact both his reputation and his ability to continue mining in the region. It was clear that this wasn't just about the gasoline fire anymore. This was about a much larger and more dangerous web of legal violations. Beets' response: fight or flight? Throughout the legal turmoil, Tony Beets remained his usual, confident self. Rather than cower in fear or attempt to avoid the consequences, Beets went into full battle mode, ready to fight the charges and defend his operation at all costs. This determined attitude didn't sit well with some of the locals, especially those who had long criticized Beets for his lack of respect for the environment and local laws. "I've been mining for decades," Beets told reporters during one tense interview. "I know what I'm doing. If they want to come at me, they can. But I'm not going down without a fight." Despite his tough exterior, there were moments where Tony showed cracks in his usual bravado. Legal battles are never easy, and Beets' fight to keep his mining operation running was filled with sleepless nights, countless meetings with lawyers, and an overwhelming sense of pressure. The consequences of losing the battle were dire. He could face hefty fines, a suspension of his mining licenses, and possibly even jail time if the charges were severe enough.